I'm jumping in this conversation because I sort of know quite a bit about it because I worked roughly 20 years in the industry for two major orchestras here in Canada. I worked for the Montreal Symphony Orchestra for about 10 years. I was there during the whole tenure of Kent Nagano until we opened the new concert hall. And then I moved to Toronto to work for another orchestra called Tafel Music, specialized in Baroque music, where we also sort of opened a new concert hall. And throughout those years, I also had a few contracts and collaborations with other organizations in the arts. And one thing about this sector is it's highly organized. We have certain bodies that kind of gather statistics. For orchestras, for example, we have Orchestras Canada. We also have, the Toronto Arts Council, etc., that gather a whole bunch of data, and they sort of put all these statistics together. And I haven't been in the industry since 2019, but I'm willing to bet that some of the rankings haven't changed all that much. And I'm not trying to be like a jerk or anything. I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. But in terms of the areas of interest for concert goers, opera was always, I remember seeing that opera was always at the bottom of the list in terms of what people wanted to go and see. And, while I was working for orchestras and working for marketing, trying to move tickets, consistently lyrical concerts were difficult to sell. It was just a known fact in the industry. We always knew that we had to put a little bit more budget into those concerts to be able to move them. And, obviously it's the same thing for, direct opera, even if they're staging and everything. What makes it even more difficult for opera is that it's extremely costly to do a production. And don't get me wrong, I love opera. I come sort of from a family of music. My cousin was a very well-known opera soprano in Canada. And obviously throughout my whole career, I have pondered on the question, and so has the industry itself, on how to get people into the concert halls. I mean, we have done literally everything, and all orchestras have tried everything from creating pop concert series, from trying to do funner concerts. And while all of that is fine and dandy, one thing that we've noticed is that, you do a pop concert, you get a new audience of pop concert goers, but they never convert. They will never go from, the pop orchestra concert to jump into a full-on Mahler concert. That just doesn't really happen. So for sure, you can sort of play around with the repertoire and make it funner and more accessible. But in the end, the product is the product. And essentially, it's an acquired taste that requires some level of education to be able to appreciate. So, for a while, I felt the same way as this content creator where I was really, really annoyed by, the snobbery and the pretension in the industry. But with time, I became a little bit more accepting of it. You know what all it means is that those people care about it that much. And that is a great thing. These are diehard people who just love it. So to me, it's more about empowering those people to try to bring people into the concert hall. We shouldn't be angry at these people who are super fans, right? And here's the second part, is that I was talking about how it's an acquired taste and it requires a level of education. Well, that's kind of where the crux is right now. It's a cultural problem, right? So we're seeing less music happening in schools. That's where it starts. Music classes in elementary and in high school, that's where the upcoming audience members are. But if that connection isn't happening, then they never end up in the concert halls. And I don't know if that's a problem we're going to be able to solve in the short term. I'm not in the industry anymore. It was time for me to move on, even if I loved it enormously. But I chose another very pretentious industry, which is the industry of perfumery. If you knew. So I guess my takeaway is, love your number one fans. Give a snob a hug today.